At work, home, or wherever you may be, people have expectations for actions. Sometimes these expectations are unreasonable for several reasons. So how do you learn to manage expectations? If you find this video helpful, please share it with friends and don't forget to subscribe. And if you click on the little bell button beside the subscribe button, then you'll get a notice whenever we post a new video. So first of all, I want to address the issue of managing the expectations that others have of you. Certainly, the key phrase to begin with is learn to say no. For 40 years, I was the pastor of a church, and people came from many different religious backgrounds, and each of those backgrounds had expectations. So you can easily imagine how the expectations were unreasonable. So I've grappled with a few things around this topic. So here are some strategies or tips to help you learn to say no and to manage the expectations of others. Number one, establish your boundaries clearly. Know your own boundaries, what you will or won't do. Is something negotiable or not? For me, I had a clear boundary around Mondays. Mondays were my day off. I would do nothing on Mondays that was related to my work. And I had eventually clear boundaries around hospital visits. When HIV/AIDS first hit our community, it became obvious I could not do all the hospital visits. So some boundaries had to be established. Clarify boundaries and present them in multiple ways so people know what your boundaries are. Be clear. You can't expect others to know what your boundaries are if you haven't sorted those out in the first place. Number two, be clear about your priorities. Knowing your own priorities and goals can be a great defense for you. To be clear about time frames and to be clear about time frames. An example is people would frequently come to me and say, "Oh, Brett, here, I have this great book for you to read." And I would take it and sit it on my desk and feel guilty that I wasn't getting at it. Or a week or two or a year later, they'd come and say, "Have you read that book yet?" And I really should have said from the very beginning, look, my plate is full. I have too many priorities to work on. I won't have time to read the book. Just an example. If you have a schedule for the day or for the week, you can be clear in communicating why you can't do this task at this time. And don't say something don't say you'll do something just to be nice and then disappoint. Deal with a no up front. Otherwise, you're just delaying the pain and increasing the pain. Pain to others when you don't meet their expectations, and pain to yourself by upsetting your own to-do lists or increasing your own guilt. 3, be prepared to negotiate. If you feel you cannot meet the deadline or their expectation, you should voice your opinion. Suggest a date that is more reasonable. You don't have to be driven by other people's needs. Number 4, underpromise, then overdeliver. If you can negotiate, ask for a longer time frame than you think you might actually need. Be careful using phrases like, "I will try to have it done by tomorrow," or "I'll do my best." If you can't finish the task on time, voice your opinion. Number 5, call a timeout. You may need time to respond to a request, to get up the courage to say no. This could be because you need to check your schedule, or because you need to finish what you're doing, or consult someone else. Secondly, I want to talk about managing your expectations of others and how you can avoid having unrealistic expectations of them. Number 1, never assume. If in doubt, ask if there's anything they need from you to be able to deal with your request, and ask them to suggest when it could be completed. If they set the date, it's easier to hold them to it, and it's much more realistic that they'll meet that deadline. Ask them, do they have any questions about the task? Number 2, be clear about your requirements and deadlines. Number 3, celebrate when others deliver on time. Number 4, set an example by meeting your own commitments so that you have grounds to hold others accountable. And finally, if it's a crucial deadline, you might want to check partway through with the individual to see how it's going and if there's anything that they need from you so that the deadline could be achievable. Below are some credits to help you with this topic. Thank you.